Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of YBMcast, powered by Game 7 Baseball, game7baseball.com. We are here today with the coach's preview. We have from the very southwest part of the country. Well, we'll say state. There you go.
Yeah.
Andrew Doennig, head coach, Webb City Cardinals. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. We appreciate you taking the time, joining us on the Prime Sports Midwest call link. Make sure you check out primesportsmidwest.com or go to their store, one in Fenton, one in St. Peters. Go check them out. The C.O.C, new conference down there. This is the second year of the C.O.C, correct?
No, this is the first year of it.
It is the first year.
Since Glendale and Kickapoo joined, this will be the first year of it.
You guys were 6-0 in the West last year playing these teams. 1-2 versus the East teams. Overall record 26-8. You were the District 7 champs. And I'm going to give a little history here because if people don't know, Webb City championships in 05 and 06, and I believe that was Class 3, because that may have been the highest class in Missouri at the time, too. Maybe it was Class 4.
Yeah, I'm not sure back then what it was, but I think for sure it was at least 5 classes then.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Since 2009, you guys have won 9 district titles, 2 Final Four appearances, a second place in 2010, a fourth place in 2023. And Coach, you may not have been there for all of those, but you got 8 20-plus win seasons since 2010. This program has been successful for quite a while.
Yeah, we've had a pretty good run of success here at Webb City in baseball. I mean, people kind of look at us as a football school, and for obvious reasons. Most state championships in the history of the state of Missouri, so for obvious reasons. But baseball is kind of a big thing here. Kids love baseball. We have the biggest Little League charter, or one of the biggest Little League charters in the state of Missouri. I mean, we've got. It's unbelievable. Hundreds of kids that play Little League baseball every single night out at our city park. So people love baseball here. So it's a great town to coach baseball in.
You guys ever been to the Little League World Series?
Yes, they've been for sure. I know twice. The last time, I can't remember exactly the year, what it was, but it would be the class that graduated in 21. That's when they went to the Little League World Series. Pretty cool deal for those guys. So, they went there, played a few games, got to enjoy that experience. There was a few years before that another group went, but we've had a pretty good run of making it to the state tournament, winning that, and going on to Little League Regional, which is in Indianapolis every year. So you kind of turn on ESPN, you'll see kids from Webb City there almost every single year.
Wow, very good.
Yeah. I got to coach in that one year too. That was kind of a weird, neat experience. The year we made it to the Final Four, my son's team was a 12-year-old team, and they made it to the regional tournament. So I was the head coach of that team too.
Oh, that's a good year.
Yeah, pretty long baseball year, but yeah, it was a good year.
So, Coach, what year is this for you there at Webb City as a head coach?
As the head coach, this is year number 3. I was here for 9 years before that as the assistant. So, starting year number 3.
What has it been like through this process, learning, and are you still in contact with the old coaches and getting advice? What's the process like for you?
Yeah, so the guy I took over for is now our assistant principal, Flav Darnell. so I see him every single day at the high school, talk to him all the time. I'll come up to him in the mornings and we'll talk about different bunt defenses and different picks and stuff. And I'll say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And he's a wealth of information to have and a great person to have, kind of in your back pocket when you need him and talk to about different stuff. I talked to Bryce, his older brother. So Bryce was the head coach here at Webb City in 2005 and 2006 when they won those state championships, and now he's the head coach of Missouri Southern, obviously. So I talked to him quite a bit, just to kind of less about like picks and stuff, obviously like that, but more about like, hey, like what do you think about this? As far as whatever, it could be a player thing, a parent thing, or just kind of a general baseball question of like, hey, what'd you do when you were the head coach? And he's always willing to share. We'll still talk about obviously all the kids that we got over there and stuff. So we talk quite a bit. But yeah, I mean, having those two guys kind of readily available to talk to is a pretty nice thing to have.
That helps continue that culture, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long kind of tradition here with those guys. They kind of set the tone. I mean, I would say that Bryce and Flav and I probably fall a lot around the same lines of how we want to operate and do different things, and kind of the way we would run the same program. I've coached with Flav for quite a few years here, and then even whenever he was at Carl Junction, I'd help him in the summertime. And stuff. So we kind of known each other for a long time. And we share the same philosophies and ideals and different things. And even as the game changes, I mean, we probably kind of go along the same lines and do the same thing.
Yeah. To your point on the football front, when I looked up the history here on the Misha website, it was 23 state championships. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's that? And then you go to the football and it's like littered with state championships. How have you, and how do you continue to move that needle? It never will, as probably as far as that's concerned, but how do you keep that needle balanced and bringing those kids into the baseball community?
And football's its own animal here. I mean, it's a different deal. It's way different than most communities. I coach football in the fall, and I have since I started here at Webb City. So I've been really fortunate to be a part of that program and be around all those coaches. Coached in 4 state championship games in football, won 3 of them. Been in the state semifinals a lot of different times. The nice thing and the good thing about our football program and kind of coinciding with our baseball program is the mentality that those kids have during football season just carries over to baseball. The way that we do things and the way that we teach our kids and the way that we hold kids accountable is the exact same. So it's really easy. It makes it really nice and easy for me, because we have them all year long during football, and then all of a sudden they come to baseball and there's no change in expectations. So it's nice, kids, are mentally tough. They've played in big games by then. By the time they're a senior in high school, there's a very, very good chance they've played in a district championship, a state championship, maybe in football. And so big games don't scare them. And it's a really big luxury that a lot of people don't have. I mean, whenever you don't have a successful program like we do with football, you got to teach kids how to be mentally tough. You got to teach kids how to practice hard, how to work hard in the weight room. And that's just kind of something that's bred into them the day they start here at Webb City High School. And so it's kind of a nice luxury.
You guys, with that football program, how do you gain some notoriety?
I mean, you're never going to be bigger than that thing. I mean, that's just what you got to understand. I get it. I mean, it is what it is. And I mean, I'm not trying to be bigger than football. I'm never going to try to be. You just kind of go out and do your own thing, and people are happy for your success. I mean, my first year, when we beat Kearney in that state quarterfinal game here, the first person that I saw outside the dugout was Coach Roderick, and he gave me a big hug and told me he was proud of me. So I mean, and he gets it. He wants baseball to be successful. So, I mean, we're never going to be probably bigger than that, bigger than football, and that's okay. But, people recognize us as a program that has had success and continues to have success. And so we just kind of go out and do our own thing, and, everybody's happy for us, and they like the community likes to see success, and they're supportive of every sport that has success at Webb City, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, it doesn't matter.
You guys got a lot of returning seniors with experience. What does you think that's going to do for your team this year, Coach?
Yeah, the biggest one is our first two guys, Beverlin and Fletcher. Those are the two guys who, pitched in a lot of games since they were sophomores, and so I mean, you'll be able to have those guys kind of lead the way. That's the biggest thing with those guys, is they've pitched in games, they've pitched in a lot of games for us so far, a lot of big games, and so they can kind of help those younger kids kind of come along as they need to, kind of show them how we do things, show them how we work, and it's nice when the kind of your better two players are some of the hardest working kids on your team. So, I mean, that's kind of what we get with them. I mean, those kids get in their bullpen sessions and there's no messing around. They get after it down there and they listen to Lube and just do what they do. And it shows the younger kids that this is what you got to do to be successful.
It's definitely going to be necessary to have that depth at pitching. You get out of districts, you get to that quarterfinal, it's the best 2 out of 3 this year.
Yeah, it's a little different, but I'm kind of excited. I was talking to Coach Remley at the state convention. We were talking about that, and I said, at that first year, I don't know if we beat them 2 out of 3 because we only had one guy that year that was really dominant. Our number 2 had gotten hurt, so we rode that number 1 from. I mean, it was the district semifinal, district championship, state quarterfinal, and the first round of the Final Four. I mean, he pitched 4 straight games for us, so probably wouldn't have won that one had we had to go 2 out of 3. But last year, it was kind of like, well, I kind of wish we would have gone 2 out of 3. We might have had a chance, And so I mean, it's just kind of different, But yeah, you're right. It's a big deal about pitching development and pitching depth, and I think we've got some guys this year that can really help us with that pitching depth. After those two, we got. Our number 3 back, Cohen Epler, he pitched some weekend games for us last year. He's going to KCK to pitch. So we'll have him. And we got some younger guys that we feel like have done a pretty good job this winter. And we'll just have to get in some innings and get them that experience and kind of go. Last year we had 2 bullpen guys that we could roll out there at any time we felt really good about. But this year those guys will be a little bit younger. But it is what it is. It's just the cycle of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach, when you're talking about bringing these kids along and whatnot, and you're building culture within high school, where do your kids play in the summertime? Do you have different opportunities? I know it's not like maybe St. Louis or Kansas City with some of these things. What is that process for you guys, and how are they coming in prepared for high school baseball?
So we're probably quite a bit different than what St. Louis and Kansas City do. So it's been 7, 8, 9 years now. We've had a summer program with our high school kids. And so we keep I'd say we probably keep about 80 to 85% of our kids. And so some years it's a larger number than most, but I mean, I've been here with years that we've had 2 kids out of the 45 we kept for the spring go and play somewhere else. So we have a lot of kids that stay here and play. Joplin's become a really big hub for summer baseball tournaments because of the turf fields. They're in a real close proximity. And so we can stay here. We can play games against teams that come in here, and kids can play for a lot less than they can for going to play in some of those other big name club teams. And, it's kind of funny. We'll go out and play some of those teams and we compete with them and play with them. And they get really mad because they get beat by, they call it just a bunch of high school team. And, it's fine, but we keep those kids here. We've got a youth program. We've got a 14-year-old team, a 13-year-old team, usually. And so it's kind of nice. We get those kids going in junior high. They kind of be a part of our summer program, and they come in our indoor and practice and use our field whenever we're not practicing. And coaches kind of want to start doing the same stuff we do. It's kind of along the same lines. Willard does it. Nixa does it. And so it's just kind of what you got to do to win nowadays.
Yeah, we were down there this past January. We're getting this stuff out and whatnot. And I think it's so much different and interesting to see how the high schools handle those things in different areas.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's not easy. It's difficult sometimes to keep kids coming in here. I mean, they, say, oh, my mom and dad think that I need to go play with this team and that team and this team and that team. And, it's not really about that. Like I said, we'll have some guys leave in the summertime and go different places and do different things. And, we talk about it and ask them if this is really what they should be doing or where they need to be going. And we've had some kids where I've said, yeah, maybe you need to go and go play for some of those big teams. Like we'll have a kid this summer that's going to go play with the Royal Scout team. And I said, yeah, I mean, you probably need to. We had a kid a few years ago that could have played with the Royal Scout team, and we told him to go and he didn't. It was just kind of weird. But yeah, I mean, it's just we want kids to have a good experience in our youth program. We want them to play, and that's the biggest thing. We just want them to get out there and keep playing.
Yeah. Recognizing those, there's just very few of those elite talent kids, and they need to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I like how you started off with Landon Fletcher, the pitching. Coach, defense. You've got a lot of returning guys. Do you have your middle set? Is your catchers your middle infield and your center fielder?
Center fielder's back from last year, Andrew Young. So Andrew Young missed his sophomore year with the shoulder injury. So last year was actually his first year as a varsity starter. He's an all-state kid, second team all-state outfielder. Probably one of the best outfielders that I've been around. Just his ability to track the baseball in the outfield. I mean, he can run it pretty well, but his ability to track the ball in the outfield is pretty impressive at times. He's not as fast as like a kid like Wyatt Vincent at Nixa, but I mean, his ability to track the ball in the air is pretty good. He was an all-state defensive back as a junior too, and had like 6 interceptions, and so he's pretty good. Mason Williams is back. He was our catcher. We started him as a sophomore last year. And so he was a second team all-state catcher. He's going to be back. And he's kind of gotten better behind the plate actually, and offensively has turned it up a little bit. Then we'll have our shortstop back, Cohen Epler. He started there for us last year. And so he was our starting shortstop and kind of our number 3 on the weekends. And then we got Beverlin back. He had a phenomenal year last year. He ended up going 9-1. Actually probably should have been 10-0 going into that last game. He had a win, kind of get sniped out from underneath him. But and then Fletcher's back, and Landon Fletcher's a kid who is probably one of the most, I'd say probably underrated kids in Southwest Missouri, because when he was a sophomore my first year, he was 5-0, should have been 6-0 until he got hurt, and he was probably our number 1 the entire year. He beat quite a few teams and kind of surprised a lot of people. And then last year he ended up being 7-1. His only loss was to Nixa. And so he's had 2 really, really good. I mean, he's 12-1 in his last 2 years. He's had a really good year. And last year he just got overshadowed by Beverlin's year because it was so good. But yeah, we'll have those 2 guys back. And so we've got some guys back. We've got some guys that played a little bit last year. We got just a lot of athletes that can all run really well. And so we'll kind of find a spot for them.
You got a 2027 sophomore, Mason Young.
Yeah.
What do you think there? Has he got any opportunities we might see in there?
Yeah, so Mason is Andrew, the center fielder's little brother. And I say his little brother. He's actually taller than Andrew at this point. But he plays basketball. He actually starts for our basketball team as a sophomore. Really good athlete. He's probably 6'2", really long kid. So he's kind of doing stuff on his own, kind of just getting ready, since he's been doing so much basketball stuff right now. But yeah, I mean, he'll have a chance. This year, probably more than any year, we'll have a lot of opportunities for kids to get some time early and see who can play. And like I tell them all, it's going to come down to, can you guys, who can hit? And because, Beverlin and Fletcher are going to get their strikeouts. So, I mean, you kind of sometimes don't worry as much about defense and with some of them. And as long as you can be good enough at a few different spots on defense and those guys on the mound, they'll get their strikeouts. And so, you kind of worry more about their offense. But yeah, I mean, he'll have a chance to play, and we're going to have quite a few other guys that have a chance to kind of earn some time earlier this year.
Who are some of the sophomores that we could look at that might get some opportunities, Coach?
Sophomore wise, I'm not sure exactly how many sophomores we'll have get a chance to play. There's some guys that might have a chance to pitch for us. We've had some guys be really impressive this year. Barrett Weller, he's a kid. His older brother Sam Weller was our senior second baseman last year, and so he's known him for a really long time. He went to daycare with my son whenever they were all really little, so I've known him for a long, long time. Great kid, great family, but he's another kid. He's kind of grown a little bit this last year. He's probably 6'1", 6'2", and just really long and athletic. He's thrown pretty well. Our junior class is going to be the ones that kind of get the bulk of the opportunities early. You get a kid like Braden Strickland. It was Braden. I could put him anywhere. I could put him behind the plate and he'd be fine. Not that I plan on it, but I could. And he'll probably play some shortstop whenever Epler's pitching, and he could play third, second. He could play in the outfield. We'll have some other guys that get some time early too. It's just Carson Myers. Bryson Bard is another kid who's a catcher outfielder. He's actually been pretty impressive on the mound this wintertime. Tate Lewis is another kid that he'll probably be one of the people that's in the mix at the end of the game for us. So you got a lot of kids in that junior class who have kind of waited their turn. The sophomore year is the hardest, because you kind of, unless you're pretty good, you don't get really a good chance on varsity. So you play all those games as a freshman, then you kind of have to sit through JV games. And so they've all done a good job and waited their turn, and they're ready to go.
You do have a pretty heavy junior class, don't you?
Yeah, we'll have probably roughly 10, 11 of them this year on the team. So yeah, they're a pretty good group collectively. The thing that's kind of weird about those guys is they're all just kind of like, you can just throw them in a cup and just toss it out there and they could all go play just whatever spot they wanted to and be okay. They're all just good baseball players and they can play anywhere, which is nice. It's kind of nice to have kids like that you can just put somewhere and say, hey, go take some fly balls today, go take some ground balls today, and we'll see what the best spot for you is.
Coach, as you're setting up your schedule, last year, you guys, I don't think there was one team in your conference in your district. Am I correct in that?
CJ was in our conference and district last year.
Carl
Junction. Yeah, we've got kind of a weird draw with our district. There's not enough Class 5 schools on the left side, southern left side of the state, Southwest Missouri. So there's only 3 of us. So the Springfield one was the one with like Willard and all those guys and stuff. And so we all got shipped north to Kansas City. And so we kind of never really saw those guys, during our year, and we don't really play them or interact with them too much. And so there's kind of a weird number there. And so it'll be when those districts get released, it'll be interesting to see what happens if, because I know Branson's going to move up to Class 6, and I know McGee thinks Willard's going to move up to Class 6, and so we'll see what happens there. But I think he's just telling everybody that's okay. He'll probably be.
Yeah, he said that. They sit right on the cusp.
Yeah, they're like number 64, 65. He doesn't know, and I'm sure he's done the calculations about 600 times by now, and so. But it is what it is. When you get to that point of the year, you just gotta keep winning, and you got to beat everybody to win it all anyway. So it doesn't really matter who's in your district or who's not. So you just got to play who you play. But yeah, we get kind of a weird draw. We got to go to Kansas City usually, or with Kansas City teams.
Do you try to get up and play a couple of those teams maybe in a tournament?
Yeah, so we've tried to in the past. Belton is actually a team that's in our district, and they have been for the last few years. We actually play them in the Red and Blue tournament, which is in Springfield, which is kind of nice. Coach Julian does a good job of setting us up with that game because it's hard during the year to get up there just in general with your regular schedule. And so if you get an opportunity to play them down here, we do. So we'll play Belton if they're in our district again or not. Maybe not. And then there's some other teams that we'll play CJ, we'll play Mack County, but some of the other teams are hard to schedule, like Raytown South and Warrensburg. That's a hard drive to get up there for.
What is it? It's up 71, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, 49. It's you go at 49, you hit all that kind of stuff, and I'm not really sure I could tell you a good way to get to Warrensburg. There's no good way to get there. It's a tough drive. I did it in college, and now it was tough to get there.
Absolutely, and I know a lot of those guys, a lot of those kids, they ought to be pretty tough this year too.
Yeah, Warrensburg had a good team last year, and of course Belton's got the, their guy, and gosh dang man, we beat them 3-1 last year, and their kid made some of our kids look really bad at the plate last year. So I'm, but he's good, man. We saw him last year, and in the red and blue tournament again, and he made us look pretty bad at times at the plate. I think he had 10 strikeouts, and we finally got him out because of his pitch count. And I was shocked we scored 3 runs on him.
Hey, scratch it out, right?
Yeah, I mean, Fletcher was pitching against him, and they had like 2 or 3 hits. He had one of them, and they scored one of the runs on his hit. And I just knew we needed to score 2 runs, and we'd probably be okay. And we were just fortunate enough to be able to get 3 off of him.
Coach, going into 2025, you guys won the district last year, fell short in the quarterfinals. What do you got to do? What are you looking for from this team that will get you over that hump?
The thing with us this year is I think we're going to have to find a way to manufacture runs. Last year, my first year, it was we were kind of the same way we're probably at this year, probably a little less offensive, and had to kind of do a little bit more bunting and things like that. And last year, we hit a ton last year. I mean, we had, Drew Vonderhaar hits like 470 plus. And I mean, just absolutely tore the cover off the ball all year long. And we were really, really offensive last year and scored a ton of runs all the time. And so you got to breathe a little easier in the dugout. I mean, everything wasn't, dying on every pitch. But this year, I think we'll probably have to, do a little bit more. We'll have to run a little bit more, do a little bit more small ball, which is fine. And I like that stuff. And so it doesn't bother me. Just have to be really good on defense and pitch it really well, which is, like I said, completely fine with me because that's what I like anyway. I mean, not everybody loves having a 3-2 game because it's really nerve-wracking, but I don't mind them because I like pitching.
I do too. Kind of gets the plaque flowing though.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean,
hard on the ticker.
So before I was the head coach, I was the pitching coach here. And so, I mean, it was, you live and die with every pitch with those kids. And man, it's nerve wracking sometimes, but we've had some good pitchers come through here that make you look really good at times.
Absolutely. Coach Doennig, folks, head coach, Webb City Cardinals. We're going to be down there for that game against Joplin. Looking forward to that, Coach. Yeah. We're going to be live streaming.
Hopefully it's good.
It's good.
Hopefully the weather's gonna be nice. It'll be May, so it should be warm that time of year.
Warmer, right?
Yeah, warmer.
You guys have turf down there?
Yeah, we've got a turf infield and grass outfield, and it's fine too because the outfield's built on a chat pile, and so it drains like turf. I mean, we've never had a problem with our outfield, and so we've got turf infield, and it's great to have.
Good. I'm looking forward to it. We're looking forward to coming down, having some fun with you guys. We've not been down in that part of the state, so I'm looking forward to this one. I really am.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it down here. We've got a great facility, great indoor facility, great school district. And Joplin will be good. They're well coached, and they've got a good pitcher. So hopefully you'll see him, and you'll see one of our 2 guys. Hopefully they're still healthy that time of year. It'll be a good day.
Absolutely. Appreciate you taking the time, Coach.
Yeah, no problem.
Folks, thanks for tuning in. Look, if you like what we're doing, please hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button too, because that helps the algorithm. A little comment below. Tell us what you think. We appreciate that as well. So until next time, everybody have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, coach, your pitching coach, give the pitchers some advice.
Throw strike one.
I like the simplicity of that.
Yeah, strike one is the best pitch in baseball.
And all you hitters, hit them where they ain't. We'll see y'all next time.